We need to talk about Nigeria. You know, Africa's largest economy, the home of this guy, Fela.
Everybody run, run, run. Everybody scatter, scatter.
The birthplace of the second largest movie industry in terms of output, Nollywood is all over Netflix. Lagos Cougars, and the place that knows how to throw a party. Just YouTube Nigerian weddings, trust me. Well, all that could be at risk.
Nigeria has had a situation whereby people who feel disgruntled think that they need to take their claims.
Ethnic tensions may fracture this still very young nation.
If you don't like a group of people, then you will allow them to go. Simple. The treatment we are receiving is not worthy mentioning.
And that's not the only thing threatening it. So what does that have to do with you or me or any of us? Well, everything, because guess what? What happens to Nigeria has international implications. I mean, Nigeria is the source of the United States' most educated immigrants. Hey fam, I'm Imaeyen, this is HA+, and this Sunday we're on the hunt for the future of Nigeria. Let's start with the basics. Nigeria is a diverse place with more than 500 ethnic groups and languages. And thanks to its British colonial past, its official language is English. The country is evenly split between Muslims, who mostly live in the north, and Christians, who mostly reside in the south, though they don't exclusively live in those regions. Nigeria is a tween compared to other countries. It's only 57 years old. It gained its independence on October 1st, 1960. Like so many other nations, Nigeria has had ethnic tensions in the past. And right now, there's one in particular causing tons of chatter. And no, this has absolutely nothing to do with Boko Haram. A secessionist group in southeastern Nigeria wants to create its own country called Biafra. If this dissension sounds familiar to you, that's because it's a 21st century cover of the 1967 original, the Nigerian Civil War. That's when 3 states seceded to create Biafra, just a few years after the nation gained independence. The war had fierce fighting between the Nigerian government, who saw the secessionists as rebels, and the Biafrans, who wanted an independent state for the Igbo people. It also generated a humanitarian crisis. People starved because of inaccessibility to food. Other countries tried to help, but their aid couldn't get to the suffering because the warring sides couldn't agree on how to distribute it, like this report from the Era shows.
Biafra lost 1/3 of its territory. Biafra knows what she's fighting for, but the army is fighting a hopeless war and the people are beginning to get tired.
The conflict that began in 1967 ended in 1970 with this surrender. But now a British Nigerian political activist named Nnamdi Kanu is looking to get what his predecessors didn't, a new nation.
Our fathers fought, stopped. The reason why they fought is still there.
Kanu was detained without trial from October 2015 until April 2017 when he was released on bail. Things really heated up in the fall. The government declared Kanu and the indigenous people of Biafra group terrorists in September 2017. It's a controversial move that caused Nigeria to declare the classification a pronouncement instead of an official designation. It also pushed Kanu into hiding and has helped stir civil war fears as tough talk intensifies.
Everything that any man can do to be free, we are going to do.
There are some Nigerians who want Kanu's vision of a country dedicated to the nation's 3rd largest ethnic group, the Igbo.
I hope that one day the Biafra will surely materialize.
But the majority of Nigerians don't support this movement, and they seek to avoid separation.
I don't need to go back to Civil War period or before that, because I'm a witness. I fought the Biafra side during those days. I know the suffering.
So what are the odds of a civil war severing Nigeria? Well, Jennifer Cook of the Center of Strategic and International Studies says it's very unlikely.
The country has too much at stake, and while there are many divisions, there's also a lot of interdependence among those various groups.
Cook also says the government would try to quickly squash any fight.
Were a separatist conflict to escalate, I think it could be quite bloody, but I think the full force of the Nigerian government would be brought to bear on it.
The separatist agenda isn't the only thing able to limit Nigeria's potential as an economic powerhouse. Nigerian writer and scholar Akin Adeshokan says many citizens are dissatisfied and have sought ways to express their frustration with the government.
It's not just the Igbo or Biafra, it's just the latest in a series of attempts by disgruntled Nigerians to express their grievances.
CC, violence between herders and farmers over competition for land, Boko Haram, and the environmental disaster of oil spills.
There is a strong smell of oil in the air, so much so that the community here warned us not to light a match.
Cook says the biggest deterrent to Nigeria's success isn't a revival of Biafra talk. It's the fact the country is having to split its focus.
If the country is distracted with conflict in Biafra, oil shutdowns in the Niger Delta, insurgency in the north, agriculture and pastoralist conflict, it gets away from doing the things like investing in infrastructure and education and health that are going to make the country really succeed.
Nigeria is dealing with all of those issues in a country without economic equity. Adi Shokun believes the financial inequality is Nigerians' biggest obstacle.
The country is poorly run, it's very unjust. The wealth that belongs to the country is stolen by a very tiny elite, and there's very vast discrepancy in terms of very few people having lots of money and the majority having none.
The disparity is stunning. In a country of 186 million, Nigeria has at least 86 million people living in poverty. Let me do that math for you. That's 46% of the population. One recent analysis ranked Nigeria's commitment to reducing inequality last out of 152 countries. That's below Myanmar, Bahrain, Panama, and the 23rd ranked United States. The report says the inequality got much worse between 2004 and 2010, with tax waivers benefiting the upper class and legislators getting some of the highest earnings in the world. It's so odd. It feels like I've heard the same complaints about income inequality about another resource-rich country with a large population, ethnic and regional divisions. But that's another video.
Before we can really think about anything, even how to deal with basic problems, there has to be fairness, there has to be justice.
Thanks to desertification, the loss of grazing land and settlement expansion, nomadic herders from northern Nigeria and the farming communities in central and southern zones are fighting for land. The escalation caused 2,500 deaths in 2016, and the International Crisis Group says the federal and state response has been poor. So what does justice look like in Niger? Justice could mean doing something for the 40,000 Nigerians who are suing Shell in the UK. They say the oil giant has caused decades of oil spills in the region, which has led to contaminated water.
The underground water here is polluted with very high level of benzene that could cause cancer.
The oil has come from regions that have been extremely poor, a lot of damage done to traditional livelihoods because of environmental disasters.
We were expecting that by now there will be cleanup, because without cleanup, you can watch it, you will see that nothing can go, no business can go here.
Or justice could mean Nigeria being much more efficient with its resources.
With all that oil, Nigeria still imports refined products because it's never been able to get its own refineries up and running. And there's all of those kinds of policy distortions that are keeping Nigeria from becoming kind of the economic giant.
Hey guys, I was so excited to do this piece because I'm a first-generation Nigerian American. And one of the things that I left out of the piece was the fact that by 2050, Nigeria will be the third most populous nation on the planet, even surpassing the United States. So tell me, what other stories do you want us to cover? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Come back next Sunday for another awesome video, though probably not about Nigeria.